If you're at university and want top grades, but don't like spending hours studying for your exams or hours writing your essays, then there are 4 tools that you need to be using to become an academic weapon. Being an academic weapon is all about getting the best grades in the most efficient way possible. And I use these 4 tools to consistently get first in everything I do at university. So I'm going to share with you all today how I've done it. It's important to know that there are 2 main ways we can get tested at university, and that obviously varies between subjects. First one is essays and the second one is exams. So the strategies I'm going to give you today cover both of those exams and essays, so I'm sure that whatever you do, whatever subject you do, this video is going to apply to you. But make sure to listen closely to all 4 of the tools because they all link with each other in a framework. And to get the most success and the most potential to become an academic weapon, you need to be using all 4. So the first tool that I use is ChatGPT, and I'm sure that if you're at university, you've probably used ChatGPT before, but I'm pretty sure that you're not using it correctly. How do I use ChatGPT when it comes to exams? Well, the main thing is that I use ChatGPT as like a personal assistant. And what we need to understand is that when we're coming to revising for exams, we don't want to waste time relearning content that's already been covered and already been taught. So we've all been in situations where we're taught something and the lecturer or the seminar leader just isn't really explaining something well, or maybe the topic's really hard and kind of abstract. And it's really easy just to put this off and say, okay, look, I'm going to look at it, I'm going to address it later. And then we never do, or we get really stressed when we come around to looking at it and we realize we know nothing about it. So what I want you guys to do is when that content is introduced and when you're in a situation where something is really difficult, try and use ChatGPT like this. What we can do on most laptops is put ChatGPT in split screen with your note-taking app. And then what you can do is you can ask ChatGPT to explain a difficult or challenging concept to you in a more understandable way. So oftentimes what I'll do is I'll put in, okay, can you explain this to me like I'm a 16-year-old student, even though I'm like 21 at university, but it works. And then basically from this, I can create kind of my own examples, my own analogies, and then put this in my notes, and then it kind of clicks in a way that I understand. And basically, this just means that not only am I not falling behind in the lectures, but also there's no gaps in my knowledge, so I'm just kind of understanding everything all of the time. But what about things like questions or active recall or flashcards, you might ask? Well, I don't actually use ChatGPT for any of those. But stick around to the end of the video and the 4th tool is going to explain basically everything about this. But ChatGPT is really good at helping you if you have coursework essays. And there are 2 main ways that you can use ChatGPT to help elevate your essays and your essay writing to the next level. So one way you can use ChatGPT is getting it to pre-mark your essays. And basically, how do we do this? Well, I've already got a whole dedicated video on my channel, but I'm going to give you a really quick run through. What we want to do is we want to create a custom version of ChatGPT that's basically trained on mark schemes, good essays from your university. And then what you can do is you can put like drafts of your essay into the software and then get like targeted feedback. And this is great because ChatGPT is basically just taking the role of like the seminar leader or the lecturer who's going to mark your essay. I can compare my work to like the mark scheme and then make easy alterations, easy changes. And basically, every single time I've marked my essays with ChatGPT, I've got a first. So I can't recommend this method to you guys enough. And the second way that I use ChatGPT when I'm writing my essays is to save time finding research articles. And basically, we've all been there, right? We've all spent hours trawling through Google Scholar or JSTOR trying to find the perfect article that just doesn't seem to exist. What you can do instead is use ChatGPT to find those articles and do that work for you. And this is a really basic step. All you do is go onto ChatGPT, you type in the kind of thing you're looking for, and then it'll come back with a list of potential articles that you can use, and then you can implement in your own essay. So this saves you time actually finding that information yourself. And then I'm sure some of you might be thinking now, oh, well, now I can use ChatGPT to summarize those articles. And guess what? You can do that. There's a tool that does this even better that I'm going to introduce later in the video. But in the meantime, let me know in the comment section below if you guys have created your own custom GPT. I'm also really curious if you've thought about, or even maybe you've bought ChatGPT Plus and you've like spent that £15 a month. Let me know that as well. Okay, and the second tool that you guys need to be using if you want to become an academic weapon is Notion. Now, Notion is essentially where I keep all of my notes for university, and there's a few different platforms available, but Notion is just the best. And it has a ton of features, it's really good, it's free for university students, but the main reason why I love using Notion is that it has a fantastic AI feature, and we can use this AI feature on Notion when we're coming to revising for exams. Now, as you can see from my page, my layout, it's not the prettiest Notion page you'll see, but it does the job how I want it to do. Now, one of the best things we can do when it comes to revising for exams is using the power of active recall. Essentially, passive things like highlighting, rereading your notes, taking notes, they don't really work as well as active methods like testing yourself or doing past questions. So one of the things I love doing with Notion is making my own questions from the notes that I have. So how do you do this? Well, you go to your notes that you want to revise from and you want to study for, and then you click the little purple button, or you can press the spacebar if you're on a laptop or a computer, and then you ask Notion AI to draft you 10 questions with an answer key on the content. Basically, you can keep repeating this as many times as you like and get as many questions, but it's really, really good in testing yourself and seeing where the gaps in your knowledge are. And then obviously you can spend more time on the stuff you don't know and then less time and just ignore the stuff that you already have committed to memory. Now, Notion is a really good place to store these questions. You can use the toggle list feature, and then that kind of hides the questions and the answers, but there is a better way to store these questions that's coming up later in the video. Now, Notion is also really, really useful and really good when it comes to writing coursework essays. There's loads of different things you can do with it, but basically one of my favorite things to do is you can search for content within the entirety of your Notion workspace. So if you know that you've got a quote or an author that you want to use for your essay, you can just quickly find that in your notes. You can also ask the Notion AI to summarize things for you. So if you've got a really, really long page of notes, you can get that kind of summarized down to 3 or 4 sentences. And I mean, yeah, you see people at university, they're using paper or they're just using other software. If you're not using Notion, guys, you have no chance of becoming an academic weapon. Now, the third tool that I use to become an academic weapon is Chat PDF. And I'll be honest, this is mainly just useful if you're writing essays. So if all of your exams are written and in person, feel free to skip ahead to the fourth tool. However, like I mentioned earlier in the video, we can use ChatGPT to find loads of research articles for us. And then from that point, we can actually use AI nowadays to summarize all of those papers for us. Now, the absolute best tool for doing this summarizing is Chat PDF. And the main reason why is that you can actually ask questions, and Chat PDF kind of takes on this role of almost like the author of the paper. So the method that I use when I'm summarizing a paper with Chat PDF is I'll go into Notion and make that split screen with Chat PDF. So I have both screens on my laptop, and then I'll just do a quick run through of the paper. I'll probably read the introduction and the conclusion just so I have a rough idea of that. And then every kind of subheading that the paper or the book chapter is divided in, I'll just write that down in Notion. And then what I'll do is I'll go through Chat PDF and ask it to summarize each part kind of in turn. So I'm taking this really long paper or book chapter and I'm just putting it into kind of manageable chunks. And then you want to take any quotations or ideas that you find particularly interesting, put those into your Notion page, and then just make a note of the page number that you've got it from. And this just makes things really, really easy when you come to write the essay, because you can go to your Notion page and you just have a nice list of all of the information you've got from all of the papers that, well, hopefully you're using ChatGPT to find. Now, the fourth and final tool is something that I've been building up all this video, but it is Quizlet. Now, Quizlet is pretty much just for exams, and it's going to help you revise effectively. And here is potentially a controversial opinion for all of you. I think that Quizlet is so much better than Anki because of all of the AI features that it has, and basically how much time this can save you. Okay, so first things first, I recommend downloading the Quizlet app if you haven't already. And there are 3 main features of the AI that you can use, and I'm sure you should be using if you want to become an academic weapon. And I think it's going to be much easier to show you how this AI works on Quizlet if I set up a new account and then talk you through the methods through that. So the first key feature of Quizlet that I want you to be using is Magic Notes. And basically, this leverages the power of active recall that we talked about earlier in the video. And basically, it means that you can create flashcards and essay questions in a fraction of the time it would normally take you to make. And this is a really, really simple process. Basically, all you do is input an image or a document into the AI, and then it comes back with all of those materials in a fraction of the time it would take you to make them yourself. And even though I know you can make these questions in Notion, ChatGPT, I mean, there's so many other tools out there, I think Quizlet is just so much better than all of these because it uses another AI tool called Memory Score. And this basically helps with another key foundation of effective revision for exams, which is spaced repetition. And basically it uses AI to show you how likely you are to retain a bit of information days, weeks, or even months ahead in the future. So this basically means that when you're coming to revise, you can kind of target what you're doing on which day and how likely you are to actually have that stored bit of information ready for your exam in a month or however long it might be. And as a quick aside, spaced repetition just makes sure that we're coming back to different pieces of content at different periods of time depending on how likely we are to retain that information. And the absolute best feature, probably of all of the tools that I've talked about today, is called QChat. And basically, this means that you can select a set of flashcards that you've made or you found and get tested in different ways without actually really having to do anything differently. So basically, you can do the flashcards as you normally would, just answer the questions, whatever. But that can get a little bit boring. So with QChat, what you can do is you can get quizzed, you can kind of talk in sentences, or you can just like have a conversation. And basically, it just varies up the type of revision and the type of active recall that you're doing, so you don't really get bored. But I appreciate there might be a lot of you still using Anki. So if you want a full in-depth tutorial on how I use Quizlet, then please let me know and I can make like a dedicated video just for that. So there you go. There are the 4 key tools that you need to be using if you want to become an academic weapon in time for the exam season. But if you want a dedicated tutorial on how you can set up your own custom GPT to mark your essays, check out this video here. But if you want to learn how you can better manage your time as a student in only 6 easy steps, check out this video here. Whatever video you choose, I'll see you all there.